All right, so getting into some ratchets today is this Capri set. All right, so this will be a honest video and not paid by them or anything, which is the one complaint I have with these. I'd like them a whole lot better if they sent them out to me for free, but I bought them. But anyway, joke aside there, this is a nice set of ratchets. Got them a little dirty. So these I've been seeing on Facebook a lot. This is the reason that I bought the set. Comes with a nice little tray here and everything. All right, so there's that. There's that. And that one. And that one. All right, so here we go. I also like this little Matco mat. And the cool thing about Matco is being able to order the stuff online, since we don't have a Matco dealer in my area. But this ratchet right here, the long reach, 1/2 inch drive, I think it's like 25 inch. It's a locking flex head ratchet. And you can buy this separate, but I figured what the heck, I go on and buy the set. But this is the one that I really wanted, because I've got the longer reach, it's not quite that long, snap-on 3/8 drive locking here. But our snap-on guy ended up quitting before I was able to get the 1/2 inch drive. And, you know, ain't no joke, snap-on is expensive. I paid more for this one ratchet than this whole 3 ratchet set here. This whole set was like $170. And this, I think, was $180 by itself. You got, you know, I don't see a lot of difference in the grip. It's a little bit thicker grip on the snap-on, you know. I guess maybe it does feel a tad bit better, but I don't see a lot of difference in the grip. And you got your different colors you can get, where Capri is kind of like Gear Wrench, they just doing the one color theme here. But anyway, so these are, all right, so there you can see most of them anyway. Like I said, this one's the reason I wanted it, because, you know, the 1/2 inch drive, in my opinion, when you're getting into 1/2 inch drive, you know, something's really tight, you need a lot of pressure. And this 1/2 inch drive snap-on that I got is kind of a longer ratchet, but it's got a lot more reach on here. And yeah, like I said, when you're getting into the 1/2 inch drive, you're kind of getting into a lot of pressure, a lot of torque, or whatever you might want to call it. But this one right here is a heavy ratchet, and I ordered these right before Icon released their new Gen 2s. And I probably still will get some of the Icon stuff down the line, just because I like trying different stuff and making videos and everything, and I might like them better. I don't know, hard to say. But this one right here, like I said, it's heavy, it's a chunk. It feels like it's going to take a lot to break it. So you got your on and off, just like the rest of them. That's just one little pet peeve I got. I don't really like the noise that they make like that on ratchets. It makes them sound cheap. But I think it's going to be all right. I've already oiled these. They did come with grease in them, oil in them, whatever you want to call it. And that is one cool thing, because a lot of times the Icons that I've got didn't have any oil in them at all. Some of the other ones don't. These did have some kind of lubrication in there. But I like this stuff. It's, you know, made everything smoother and better on all the ratchets I've used it on. I use it on the drawers of my toolbox and everything. But it's got the on and off switch. It's got a big head on it, so it's, you know, should hold up pretty well. I think they have lifetime warranty, however that works. Don't know, haven't had them long enough. But I do know that you can just straight up buy the parts to fix these things. I think it's like, I don't know, 15, 20 bucks, something like that, if you have to have the internals. But the lock has got just a tad of slop in it. And you push that. I'd rather it be tighter, but it is what it is with this design. But I like these ratchets, but like I said, I am gonna give my honest opinion and critique them a little bit. These buttons and that little locking lever there, it's probably gonna break one day, you know, which, like I said, I guess you can send it back or whatever and get it fixed, or maybe they'll have those parts available too to fix it yourself. But it is heavy duty, and even if that breaks, you know, you'll still be able to flex, but it doesn't have a free flex option. It's lock only. Now this one here is made very, very similar to the Snap-on. Snap-on has an overall, you know, longer head on the ratchet there. But the Snap-on, I don't like the lock on the Snap-on at all. This little bar, the way it works. But it may be a little bit tighter, but it's still a little slack in it as well. I really want to try the Matco ratchets. I like the way they look and the way they're designed, but I don't know if I'm going to buy one and spend that kind of money to get another expensive ratchet, as many as I have. But this one here, these are practically identical in length. So this here is 80 tooth. This 80 tooth ratchet. Pretty quiet. Like I said, pretty sturdy when you got it in a bind pulling on something. But this one here is a 90 tooth, and it's just a touch louder than the Snap-on, not much. Kind of the same design here. You got two little screws in the bottom plate, like you do here. You've got your lock. Like I said, you got a little slop, but it's not bad. Push button here. I think it was this one has got a little bit of slop side to side. I'm going to try to tighten that one day. I might do it today. And that's one thing that's kind of detoured me on buying the Matco ratchet, because I've been watching some videos on them, but I seen one video when a guy was turning it and it made almost that same, you know, cheap sound and clack in it. And I just didn't know if I want to spend that kind of money. I mean, it's like Snap-on. I think it's like 180 bucks for a ratchet and still end up with that. But like I said, this one, main reason I bought it, because you need a long reach 1/2 inch drive. And this 1/4 inch is the second reason. Like I said, I already got the 3/8 covered with the Snap-on, but the set is very reasonably priced. Like I said, 170 bucks for all three, where this is like 180 for one. But this here, the 1/4 drive, I think is superior to this one. And I paid more for this one with the green handle. I think this was, I don't know, 150, 160 bucks, which is terrible expensive for a 1/4 drive ratchet, even if it is long reach. And like I said, I just, always, wanted some nice snap-on stuff. Working in the woods, I just had the cheapest, cheap Harbor Freight stuff. Where if I'm going to do it professionally, then, I want some nice stuff. And this was the only ratchet on the truck. And I actually had the comfort grip handle version of this and ended up trading it in just because I wanted that hard handle on some kind of ratchet. This was the only one he had on the truck. I'd have rather had it in a 3/8, but this is what I ended up getting. I got it wasn't long after I started, I got the extended reach quarter here, which like I said, same ratchet, just different handle. But this up here just feels really friggin' cheap. It's like, you can almost see it with my hand. But if you got it on a bolt that's a little bit tight, you can see this whole head up here bend. And that is gonna break. The little teardrop head here, you can get it into a lot of places. It's a pretty good amount, thinner in the width maybe. The up and down is not so much, but it's a little bit there. But, this one's made a lot more beefier than this one. Like I said, and I get it. You want to make a 1/4-inch drive where you can get it into tight places as much as possible. But not in the extended reach. If you're going to put a longer handle on it, you need to beef it up a little bit. It just, I don't like that. It's like this one here, you can get into good tight places with it with the swivel head. Then this will tighten. You can get that thing pretty much anywhere as tiny as the head is on that. And like the icon here is basically the same dimensions of the head, but it's a shorter handle. If you got a shorter handle, 1/4 drive, I can understand making it tiny. But even this one with the shorter handle has a lot more meat up here where you put pressure at than the snap-on. So there you have that. But this one here, I'm really impressed with this 1/4. Like I said, you got about the same, or you got a little bit more reach on the handle of the Capri here than the snap-on. But the head might be a little bit bigger getting into places. The slack's not bad in it. Same deal there. But you can barely hear the gears turning in this one. And this one you could hear it about like the 3/8. Well, not that much. Yeah, about like this one. This one was about that loud until I, put that Lucas in it, and now it's practically silent. So, and with these being brand new, they'll break in a bit, and also with them being brand new, the internals ain't dirty, so I just pop the cover off and, put the Lucas oil in there and kind of worked it around a bit and try to get it, worked in there. I didn't pull everything out of there since it's brand new, but anyway, overall, I'm pretty happy with this set. And this is a pretty good tray, but I'm gonna nitpick it a little bit, and it's kind of hard to deal with a ratchet that size. But as you get into, like, between that one and the 1/4, you've got a lot of, wasted space here that maybe you could have slimmed it off where you'd have less toolbox space, or redesigned it some kind of different way that you could have, put them in there differently and, kind of move that over just a touch where you could have got the 1/4 in between there and made a smaller profile, or, just something where you didn't have all this just space taken up, or, maybe come with an extension, or I don't know, something that just didn't take up so much room in the toolbox. But that's just, in the weeds and nitpicking there. because Snap-on does the same thing. They'll make, you know, a 2 ratchet set, and then they'll have all this tray. I guess just because it's so much trouble and so expensive to change the molds and stuff for different sets. But yeah, other than that, you know, I'm pretty happy with them. I didn't want to make a video on them as soon as I got them without using them, but you know, I've had them, you know, a couple weeks now and been using them around. And like I said, I've been making myself grab these things more than the Snap-on and stuff, just so I could, you know, test them and everything like that. And so far it's done pretty good. Like I said, I do like the locking flex heads versus the, you know, free flex. You know, some people like the free flex and it has its place, but I don't like stuff that's just loose flopping around. Where the head on this, I've got it tight. It's a lot of old ratchets that, you know, ones around the shop's got here, and you pick it up and it just does like that, and I can't stand that crap. So yep. Haven't tried the gear wrench stuff. They have a locking deal that kind of locks a little bit different. And like I said, the Matco and the new Gen 2 icons, and you know, I plan on trying them out down the road here, because you know, I'm not trying to get a hold of them right now. I know people is ordering them, but they don't have them in any of the stores around here local yet and all that. And I'm just, you know, not that concerned about fighting the drama and stuff. But anyway, so hopefully you enjoyed that video, and we'll catch you in the next one.